What's going on, guys? Nick here with another video. Today I'm going to talk to you about, well, what the Power Sports Max and other folks call the gulp valve on the Life and KPR 200, but I'm not totally convinced that it is a gulp valve. Seems to be more like an idle air bypass valve that lets air come past the throttle plate while the bike is idling. To get to this, you have to remove your seat entirely. So you just pop the seat loose with the key, and then there's two 8mm bolts there. And then here's a Phillips head screw, and then you have one 8mm bolt down here, and then one pointed Phillips head here. And then you have a little pin that sits in here. You just pull out on your fairing a little bit, and that'll pop it free of here. And then there's two tabs here where it slides down, and then it'll come free. So it's not that difficult to remove. You can do it in about 2 minutes, and then that will expose all of the EFI electronics along with this little adjustable valve and the idle adjustment, which is interesting. The idle adjustment, I believe, just activates the throttle or deactivates the throttle. It obviously doesn't adjust your air-fuel mix like it would on a carbureted. So if you tighten this up, or if it's too tight, what can happen is when you first start the bike up, it'll tend to stall a lot. Occasionally, you'll get a check engine light as a result of this. The biggest symptom, which I showed in my other video, and I'll put a link to that in the description, is that you start it up and you go to give it a little bit of gas or throttle. Whether it's warm or cold, it doesn't seem to matter, and it'll just die, which is obviously not good if you're trying to get going from a stop. So I contacted the seller of this, and they told me to adjust this, and it worked. I adjusted it in quarter turn increments left, which is out, to get it adjusted. And then I got curious here recently, and I took it all the way out. And all this is, it's threaded down near the head, and then there's a pin that goes all the way up inside here, and then there's a spring on the end of that pin, presumably just to hold this in place. So what can happen is if it's too tight, like I described already, it'll stall. If it's too loose, what will happen is your idle will start bouncing, especially when you first start the bike up. It doesn't seem to have the stalling issue when that happens, but obviously a bouncing idle is kind of problematic for you. So there is a sweet spot. What I like to do is with the bike cold, and with this all removed, I'll fire it up. I'll adjust it till the idle starts to sound pretty smooth, and then I'll give it some gas and, give it about half throttle, but don't hold it. Just kind of turn and let go real quick. And if it chokes it out, then you need to come out a little bit more. If it starts to rev, then you're probably getting close to good or you're perfect. And if it revs up and then hangs, you might be too far out, but not quite to the point of the bouncing idle. So there is a sweet spot. It takes a little bit of tuning, but you'll see once that happens, you fire the bike up, and this bike it's kind of warm at this point. I mean, it's not been ridden, but I've been firing it up to make this adjustment after I took that bolt all the way out. I should have got that on film, but anyway, I'm going to start it up here and just let you hear it. So there's the idle. You can see it's blowing a little steam right now. It's pretty cold outside. Like I said, the bike is about half warm, so I'm not going to rev it too high. Seems to have improved the throttle response as well. I noticed when I first got this bike, when you would try to give it gas, it would kind of bog down before picking up and then going. So all this stuff has to be able to communicate with each other, and any little mismatch of air readings and different things can kind of throw it off. So it's really important that you kind of fine-tune this if you're having this problem, and it'll make your bike run a lot better. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.